I want to show you guys how I take a simple prompt into making a full custom brand identity. From showing you guys how I start the initial inspiration phase to creating the mood board, the overall strategy behind the brand, to actually creating the logos where I hand draw the elements and bring it all to life. I'm going to show you guys all of that in today's video, so I hope you enjoy. If you haven't been here before, my name is Megan and I'm a graphic designer. I've been designing for the last 8 years. I love it so much, but if you guys ever want to learn more from me or my process, I do have a Patreon where I post weekly tutorials and I show you guys more behind the scenes of my process with clients, whether that's logo designs or website designs. I just love to show you guys that and connect with you even more. But I'm so excited for today's video. These are definitely my favorite videos to make, just a little behind the scenes of my actual client projects. I've had this client booked on my calendar for a while now, and it's finally the start date, and I've been working on the logos and I can't wait to take you guys with me. But we got a lot of work to do, so let's jump on in to the inspiration phase. So I like to call the first phase of my branding project the discovery and direction phase. This is when I like to get all my questions answered from my client so that we don't have a whole lot of back and forth when the actual project begins. I also just like to nail down the colors, and during this process I typically start to design some illustrations and really kind of create the elements that I might use in the logo as well. I feel like getting that all done in the initial phase just allows me to get into the logo phase with knowing exactly what it is I'm doing, and so I can not stress too much and know that the client and I are on the same page throughout the whole process. So this phase is really fun. It's really just a Pinterest search, a Pinterest scroll. It's also just like getting in touch with how I'm envisioning the brand, rereading all the forms she filled out for me since we did talk like 3 months ago. I want to just get myself more familiar with the brand again and really understand her story, her passion, why she's doing what she's doing, and bring that into the branding, because that's the best way to have a successful brand, in my opinion, is to have a story behind it and story tell and really have that come through the visuals as well. So I'm really excited for this brand. I felt like we just aligned so much because I can already envision how I want to bring elements of the C and her creativity into a logo, and the brand name is CB Creative. So we'll be able to play on the words and really involve a B, some C elements, and maybe do some fun patterns and things like that that she can use, and textures and stuff she can use on her social media. So it's going to be such a fun project. I'm so excited to jump into it. That's the best when you just love the project that you're about to work on. It just makes it so much more exciting. But let's hop on over to my computer and I'll show you everything I do. So my client got back to me pretty quickly and she let me know that she loves everything in the initial phase. I do like to send over that video recording just so that she can see like my thought process and what I'm thinking throughout the process. So I send that over. I'll include a little clip right here so you guys can see what that walkthrough looks like. I wanted to walk you through the first phase of your branding, which is the discovery and direction phase, the mood board where I have everything written out here and some notes and stuff. So this is kind of like my brain dump of like how I visualize your brand, and your Pinterest board was super helpful for this, and it was actually kind of perfect because I had a lot of similar things on my Pinterest board for you. But overall, so over here I have like some logo inspo, so I'm thinking like that handcrafted like organic feel. I think that can be done a lot through like the typography. It can be done through the way I draw out the icons and the illustrations. So I'll get to that over here, but that can be done through all those different kind of vibes, and then also the way we like put it all together. So for your logo, I'm thinking it would be nice to have like some sort of submark that's in a circle or a shape like this. You can use it on different things like how they printed it here. But for the primary logo, I'll do more something like a little more horizontal. That's kind of where my brain's going with this. And of course I want to have like a really fun illustration that involves your brand name and how you showed me those original kind of graphics of blending like seaside and a bee and like doing a really fun graphic like that. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for the logo, is that like organic coastal handcrafted look. And I also saw your notes about keeping it like minimal and like kind of on the vintage side, which I feel like this and a lot of these kind of feel like that to me. So we have that. And then over here, I created some pattern ideas. So I love to provide some like elements and visual assets that you can use on like social media or like behind print materials. So this can also really represent that like vintage organic feel through the textures I create. And then also this one right here has a lot of like graininess to it. So do these. So I think that'll really help bring the brand together. And then also the brand icons too, to kind of bring in those like patterns and elements that we can turn into something that's like really fun to use on graphics. Yes, I already started searching around on Creative Market, which is where I like to look at a lot of my fonts, and I'm really loving some of these. I think this is really fun. I know that you like that hand-drawn kind of calligraphy, so I love things like this. All of these I'm really loving, so I'll probably play around with all of them when we get to the logo. And maybe even like mixing the calligraphy with something more simple like this. So I'll play around with that if you like those. And then this is the color palette over here. So I'd love your thoughts on this because I pulled in some inspiration here. This one right here is very muted and like not as bright, but I just wanted to put it here so you can kind of see it, because I know that what you're doing in your niche is kind of like that calm, like mental health importance, and I feel like sometimes having muted colors can help portray that like calmness. And then I did create a mission statement for you. I like to do this just so we have an idea of like your overarching goal of the brand. So let me know what you're thinking about this. I'm happy to change it, but I was just trying to bring in like the fresh feeling that the branding is already giving off, and then positivity that the branding wants to give off. But those usually help my client and I just really be on the same page. At the end of the day, that's the most important part, because if you and your client are on the same page, that's what can lead to an unhappy client and you as a stressed designer. And I always want to make sure that I am understanding my client's vision from the very beginning. So those videos really help me and the client kind of get on that same page without having to get on a call every single time. So I sent that over and she got back to me, loves everything. So with that, I have a question on there that lets me know that I can move on to the logo phase. I like to deliberately ask my clients, can I move on to the logo phase? Because I've had it happen before where we jump into the logos and then all of a sudden they want to change the colors or do something different at the beginning stage. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to go backwards. I like to all figure it out right then and there. And then if there's like small tweaks in the end, that's fine. But I do like to make sure that the majority of everything is on the right path. So because I got the go ahead, it was time to start on the logos. And for me, I like to just jump into my own brain and creativity of how I'm envisioning the logo coming together. For her, I'm really picturing some like vintage style fonts with some like really custom elements and illustrations. And for that, I'm going to be drawing a lot of these on my iPad using the app Procreate. I get asked all the time what iPad I have. I think it's 7th generation. It's really not one of the newest ones, and it does the job. It's not like the fanciest iPad out there, but it does what I need it to do, and it works really well for this. So I always draw on my iPad, and then I typically will sketch out some ideas and then make some more like actual ones I want to work with, and then I airdrop it to my computer to start to work with those elements in the logo. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the logo process sometimes can be a little tricky because every single day I am a different person. I feel like some days I'm super creative, some days I'm not feeling creative at all. So I like to give myself enough time to be able to come back to the logo. And I will say I'm not the best at this. I typically like to work under pressure, and I wait until like 2 days before the logo's due to actually start, and then I'm kind of rushing to do it. Trying to get better about that, but I have been allowing myself some time with this client's logo, and she's been super flexible with her timeline. So it's been nice to not feel rushed with it and to be able to step away and come back and get those ideas flowing every single night. For some reason at night, I sit down with my iPad when we're watching TV, and that's when the ideas come to me. I don't know if it's just because I'm not thinking as much. I'm just kind of like carefree and just letting the creativity flow on my iPad, but that's when I typically will draw out those elements, and it's a really fun part of the process. It's actually probably my favorite part of the branding, is to create those like unique things that will set her branding apart. So that's something I'm really thinking about this whole time, is how can I make the brand look more unique? There's a lot of brands out there that have those like coastal elements to it and that have a bumblebee on it, but I want hers to speak to like what she's doing. So that's why I'm taking my time with this logo, and I will probably most likely just show you guys the first logo concepts in this video, and we'll work on those second logo concepts together when I get feedback from the client. But the logo process typically takes me around, I would say, a full week to get those logo concepts sent out. And then from there, the revisions don't take me too long unless it's like a full concept redo. But from that, I feel like we get a lot of good like headway, and we are able to see like what she likes and doesn't like. So usually the first logo concept round is a little bit longer, which is that week long, and then the revisions in between can be 1 to 2 days. So yeah, I'm super excited to keep working on this logo. I'm gonna show you guys behind the scenes of how that looks and how I use Adobe Illustrator. So let's jump on over to my computer. Okay, so now that everything is completed and the logos look good, and I also was able to kind of put them in some mock-ups and make them look presentable so that the client can see the overall vision, then I like to create another video walkthrough just to talk through all the logo concepts and let her know like the feedback that will really help me moving forward. So I'll play a little bit of that clip for you guys right here. It's kind of like how this one has it, and just I like kind of that filled in texture for your branding, but I'm totally happy to change that, add more detail to them if you want. But here are some of the icons, and then I did a little bit of like brand icons in use, so you can kind of see like how we can make like a pattern with it, and so you can use it on like social media or behind any sort of graphics. So I will play around with this a little bit more. So this is logo concept 1. I really wanted to do kind of that like illustrated feel, and yeah, I think this one came out pretty fun. So this is the primary logo. This is the secondary logo. As you can see, it's like a little bit more horizontal. And then this is the submark. So it's just the logo without the text around it. So that is logo concept 1. Logo concept 2 is a little bit different. So this is where I use more of that kind of calligraphy font and totally different fonts and illustrations. I did provide a couple with like the dots and some without, just to see which ones you're leaning towards if you like this concept. But we have this concept here, and then the secondary logo for this is much more simple, more horizontal. These are typically used on like the menu navigation on like a website, so it can fit everything. And then the submark logo, I have a couple different designs, so one with the sun and the wave and one with just the bee. But we have the submark, so that is logo concept 2. And then logo concept 3, completely different. So this has more of like a really easy to read font and a lot more to it. So I added like the established by. So this is the primary logo. This is the secondary logo. And this is the submark. So yeah, very different concepts from one another, but I like to show you all the different options so we can kind of pick and choose like what you're leaning towards. Okay, so like I said, I will only be showing the first logo concepts in this video, but be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow my videos if you want to see what the final one looks like. I'm really excited to see her feedback. And for the feedback, I do provide a type form. I typically like to do that because sometimes things can get jumbled in an email response, and people are busy. A lot of my clients work a 9-to-5 job and they have their businesses on the side, so it's hard to get on a call all the time. So I typically like to send that type form over so they can fill that out and I can get information. They know exactly the questions that will help me make those edits and move forward. So I send that type form and I get the feedback and I will let them know how long that feedback takes. But this is what the final first concepts of the logo looked like. I'm really happy with them. I'm so excited to hear what she has to say. But I just love showing you guys behind the scenes and I hope that you enjoyed watching this. But like I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to connect with me more or see actual real in-depth tutorials on how I use Adobe Illustrator, how I use Procreate on my iPad, and how I use all of these different programs and softwares to help me bring a logo to life, then be sure to join my Patreon. I post a new tutorial every single week. And if you join as a curated circle member, then we can chat every single day on Discord. I'm always in there and there's so many amazing creatives in there as well, asking questions, supporting each other, and it's just like my favorite place to hang out. So be sure to check that out if you want to learn more. Or just subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's a free way to give back to me for these videos. That would mean the world to me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one and see what the client has to say. But I'll talk to you guys soon.